Hi, today we're going to be going over the appendicular skeleton. We are going to start with the pectoral girdle, which is made up of the clavicle and the scapula. The pectoral joints are the acromivicular, sternoclavicular, and the glenohumeral. We have the first thing that we have to do is locate the sternal end of the clavicle. The sternal end connects to the sternum. Then we have our acromial lateral end. And now we're going to start with the scapula. And on our scapula, we have our acromion here, coracoid process, which is in here. So it also comes out over here. Coracoid process, glenoid cavity, which is right here. So glenoid cavity here and here. Then we have our supraspinous fossa, which is going to be up here. Then we have the infraspinous fossa, which is going to be in here, so superior and inferior. Then we have our glenoid cavity, which is going to be located where the glenohumeral joint is at. So our glenoid cavity is in here, and that's going to attach to the humerus. Let's see. Acromion. So again, it's just going to be this little point here. And then we have our spine, which is going to be in here. So where the bone is at, actually right here, spine. This is a spine. Subscapular fossa. So that's going to be the subscapular fossa. And I believe that's it. Supraspinous fossa. Supraspinous is. So now we're going to go review the head. So of course we have our humerus here, and this is the head of the humerus. We have the greater tubercle, which is going to be here on this side, and then our head of the humerus, of course, and our lesser tubercle here. So there's a little, the bone kind of pops out here. This is going to be the lesser tubercle. Then we have our deltoid tuberosity. And then we have our lateral supracondylar ridge. This is going to be right here. I hope that you can see. Supracondylar ridge. Then our capitulum is going to be here. And then our trochlea is right in there. And then we have our medial epicondyle, which is this. Then we have our coronoid fossa. So that's going to be in here. And the coronoid fossa, what helps the coronoid fossa or connects to the coronoid fossa is the corresponding process of the ulna. So this just kind of allows the elbow to move freely. So it's here and there. Let's see. Olecranon fossa, so that's going to be back of here. You have the olecranon fossa. And the olecranon fossa, sorry, is actually what helps the elbow move freely. So see how it's able to move. This is the elbow. Let's see. Lateral epicondyle. So we have our lateral epicondyle here. I believe that's it for the arm. Our deltoid tuberosity. I believe I went over the deltoid tuberosity, yes, which is here. The head of the radius, radial tuberosity. Okay, so that's completed for the arm. I'm sorry. So now our forearm. Our forearm starts with the ulna. So we have the ulna and the radius. We'll do it with. So we have our radius here, and then we have our ulna. And what do we have to label? So we have our radial tuberosity. We have our head here. The olecranon is going to be up here, so in between here. Coronoid process is going to be on the ulna, of course, which is this one. So coronoid process is just in here. Then we have our radial styloid process, which lies on the side of the radius, and that's down here. And then we have our radial styloid process, which lies on the radius, which is down here. Then our coronoid process, so that's going to be this little joint here. Coronoid process, so kind of the groove that goes in here. And I think that's it for the arm. Then we have our carpus, so our we go, I guess, from, what is it? The proximal row, lateral to medial. So starting on the lateral side, we have our pisiform. So our pisiform here. Then we have our triquetrum. No, I'm so sorry. So we'll start all over again. So we have, for the first row, we have, so the row that's more proximal, we have our scaphoid, which is kind of like on the thumb side. Then we have our lunate, following that. And then we have the triquetrum following that. And now on the distal row, we have the trapezium, which is closer to the side of the thumb. So it's trapezium here. And then we have the trapezoid following that, trapezium trapezoid. And then we have the capitate, so that's here in the middle. And then of course our hamate, so that's like on the pinky side. And then we have our, what is it? Our metacarpals 1 through 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our phalanges, we have a distal, middle, and proximal. I think that's it. And then, so the bone that connects the joint to the pollex, which is the thumb, is going to be the radius. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. The bone that forms a joint with the pollex is going to be the metacarpal, of course, and it's the I guess the trapezium, the carpals, along with the scaphoid, and it's closest to the radius. And then the bones that form the wrist are of course the radius and the ulna. Let's see. Now we move on to our pelvic girdle. So our pelvic girdle consists of the sacrum again, and our hip bones, our 2 hip bones. And so for the hip bones, we have our iliac crest right here. Then we have our iliac fossa, which lies in here. Anterior superior iliac spine, so that's going to be here, just right here where they kind of protrude. acetabulum is going to be down here. So right before the fossa. Acetabulum. So that's in here. Then we have our pubic symphysis, of course, which is here. There's a pubic arc here also. Let's see. I think that's it. The greater sciatic notch, that's going to be in here. Greater sciatic notch. So that's going to be here. Then we have our ischial spine, that's here. Ischial tuberosity down here. Then we have, of course, our arbitrator foramen, which are in here. Spine, ischial tuberosity. And the two bones that fused, let's see, point out the proximal, what is it, the three bones that fused during development of the skeleton are going to be the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. So we have our ilium up here, ischium down here, and then of course the pubis. So now we start with the femur, which is going to be our thigh bone, and I believe it's the longest bone in the lower body. Yes, and then the longest bone up here is going to be the humerus. So let's see. We'll start with of course, this is the femur here, and we have our head, which are going to be in here. I wish I could kind of remove it. So here's our head, here's our greater trochanter, lesser trochanter right here. Of course, I said the neck is here. Let's see, lateral condyle. So our lateral condyles here. What else do we have? Medial condyle. So that's going to be in here. Then we have our adductor tubercle. So our adductor tubercle is out here. Then the medial epicondyle. And then of course we have our patella, which is the kneecap. And I believe that's it. Then we start with the tibia. So we have two bones. Tibia being the biggest one, and the fibula being the smaller, thinner one. So we have the head of the fibula, which is up here. Then we have our inferior tibiofibular joint, which is going to be in between the two. So down here in between the two. Then we have our medial malleolus, which is on the tibia side. Then we have our tibial tuberosity on the tibia, tibial tuberosity. And then our lateral condyle, I believe I already said that. And proximal and distal tibiofibular joints, I said that, okay. And the fibula, I went over that. And then now we have our tarsus. So the talus, tarsus are the bones of the foot. So we have our talus, which is going to be this big one, and it attaches to the tibia. That's what the bone that it makes it up. Calcaneus. So that's that. Oh, it's so hard. It's calcaneus. Here we go with our calcaneus. Well, it's kind of hard. So our calcaneus is like up here, behind here. Then we have our navicular. So our tarsals are navicular, which is gonna be here. Then we have our intermediate cuneiform. Just gonna be following here. Our medial cuneiform is gonna be first. Then our immediate cuneiform is gonna be second. And then we have our cuboid, which is gonna be closest to, I guess, the 5th phalange. And then of course also we have a distal, a middle, and a proximal. And our metatarsals are numbered again 1 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being the pinky, the 5th one. And then we have our hallux, which is kind of the big toe. And I believe that's it. Thank you so much for your patience with me.